T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Own it, own it, own it, Kong. I own it. It did.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.
Woo! What is up? Happy Friday, y'all. It's hella rainy out here. It feels like I'm in Toronto, and this is a scary thing. Anywho, happy Friday. Welcome to Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. My name is TK Trinidad. This is WWT Live, and thank the Lord I am not alone because we have Mr. Professor in the building.
I'm laughing, TK, because I can't believe that we're living in a day where it is warmer in Atlanta than it is in LA.
Oh
And the
my God,
fact
it's so
that
bad.
there's a blizzard warning in LA, like what's going on here?
It's so crazy. And JD, yes, I still do exist. Thank you for missing me, because that's what I'm going to interpret it as.
Yes.
This girl be working. It's a good job.
Yeah,
My boss is a great boss.
Yes.
He may be considered to a lot of people as the GOAT. I'll just leave it at that. The news will come out eventually. But yeah, a girl be working. So shout out to Ella. I already peeped it, so I hit up Ella in December, and I'm like, look, these Wednesdays are gonna be tough. So shout out to Ella for hopping in and being the co-host on Wednesdays, lead co-host Wednesday. And shout out to you, Mr. Professor, for just being consistent, especially the little one, because I know people, little ones, they're not really consistent. No, not their fault. It just that's how. So I appreciate.
Hey, no problem. We do what we got to do. The world of wrestling needs us, and here we are.
There it is. Hey, Nikki, what's up? What's up? And hey, Ricky. So let's get into. We got so much. And you know what?
Got a lot.
The one video I didn't download is the one I need.
That's hilarious.
Here we go, folks. First,
The top rope.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. What do we got?
Oh boy, there are many places we can start to go off the top rope. I think we'll start here. Whenever award season shows up in the world of wrestling, there's always room for controversy. Whether it was, these lists that we've seen from PWI and other spaces, or other awards or what have you, it's always wild. So today, the Wrestling Observer Awards came out for the year 2022. Thanks to Dave Meltzer and all of the folks over there. And it brought about some very interesting results. I'll share those results with you, and then, we can pontificate or decide how we feel about said results. Now, they broke it into two categories. There was Category A and Category B. The Category A awards were determined by the first, second, and third picks of the voters who were involved. And then the Category B awards were determined strictly by the first place votes. So with that said, let's just run through some of this. And remember, this is for 2022, the calendar year, January to December. So it was voted that the Wrestler of the Year was Jon Moxley. The most outstanding wrestler was Will Ospreay. Tag Team of the Year was FTR. The award for Best on Interviews went to MJF. Feels a little weird right now, but we'll get to that. Promotion of the Year was AEW. Best Weekly TV Show was AEW Dynamite. Match of the Year was Okada versus Ospreay from Tokyo on August the 18th. Then the Category B awards looked like this. The MVP by country or region. For the US and Canada, it was Jon Moxley. For Japan, it was Kazuchika Okada. For Mexico, it was El Hijo del Vikingo. I hope I got that right. I don't think I did. The European MVP was Will Ospreay. The Hodge Award / non-heavyweight MVP also went to El Hijo. And the women's wrestling MVP went to Shuri. Best box office draw went to Roman Reigns. Feud of the year was FTR versus the Briscoes. Most improved went to the Acclaimed. Most charismatic went to MJF. The best technical wrestler award, which is called the Bryan Danielson Award, went to, get this, Bryan Danielson. Funny how that happens. And the Bruiser Brody Memorial Award, also known as the Best Brawler Award, went to Jon Moxley. Man, there were a few others. Best flying wrestler went to El Hijo. Most overrated went to Ronda Rousey. Most underrated went to Konosuke Takeshita. Rookie of the year went to Braun Breaker. Best non-wrestler went to Paul Heyman. Best TV announcer went to Kevin Kelly. Worst TV announcer went to Corey Graves. Yeah, I know. Let's see. Best wrestling show, best major wrestling show was Forbidden Door. Worst major wrestling show was Royal Rumble. Best wrestling maneuver was the Hidden Blade from Will Ospreay. Most disgusting promotional tactic was Vince McMahon appearing on TV after his sex allegations came out. Then this gets interesting. So the worst TV show of the year, they said, was Raw. The worst match of the year, they said, was Pat McAfee versus Vince McMahon at WrestleMania. The worst feud of the year, they said, was The Miz versus Dexter Lumis. And the worst promotion of the year, they said, was WWE.
Damn.
Also, well, this gets even more interesting when they say that the best booker was Tony Khan. The promoter of the year was Tony Khan. The best gimmick went to Sami Zayn. The worst gimmick went to the Maximum Male Models. And then the best pro wrestling book was Blood and Fire by Brian Solomon. And the best pro wrestling documentary was the episode of Tales from the Territories featuring Jerry Lawler and Andy Kaufman. Lots of awards, lots of thoughts from the Wrestling Observer. Let's read some of these comments because I think the comments will be interesting. Boza says Corey's doing a great job. I admit he's extra when Carmella's on TV, but that's his thing with his wife. Right. I agree. Mm-hmm. When did Pat and Vince have a match? They had a match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It was following
last year.
It was this for 2022. So
wow.
It was.
That seems like years ago. It really. Well, that's the thing. It's so much has happened in 2022. Right. That WrestleMania from 2022 seems like a long, long time ago. And the reason you probably don't remember that was it was a Pat McAfee Austin Theory match. Right. That after that one turned into a Pat McAfee Vince McMahon match. Oh, that's crazy. And then everything with Vince. So I'm guessing the timeline, it seems like, because we're in February? We're at the end of February now.
End of February 2023.
His timeline is WrestleMania to WrestleMania. That's what
it seems like it's actually January to December, the actual calendar year, because they voted the worst show of the year as the Royal Rumble from St. Louis from 2022.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So,
before we get into all the comments,
yes,
and the comments that we're gonna have, etc., etc. I'm guessing. And let me know if they put that in an article. It's opinion based. So that's the great thing. I mean, if they put out an article with all this and it was crickets, then they're doing something wrong. So it's opinion based. Yes, we can get upset. We can disagree. There's some things that are very questionable, but at the end of the day, this is a healthy conversation. Please, if you haven't already and you're watching the show, please don't go and attack this man It's wrestling one, and this is opinion based too. So I'm just saying, I'm leaving it at that. Now we can proceed with some of these comments.
The other side of this is that there were voters. I don't know who the voters are. Like, I don't know if they were fans or if they were members of the Wrestling Observer newsletter staff. I don't know the answer to that.
Right.
But some of these comments, let's see. Nikki says Raw has been better than SmackDown and NXT and AEW as well.
But let's hold on with Nikki's comment. If they're going year to year, when did Triple H take?
Triple H took over in July. So we're talking a full 6 months, which is where things, because I think to me, it's almost unfair to call WWE the worst promotion, given the amazing change that happened in the second half of 2022. Now, it'd be different if Triple H took over in November of 2022. So we'd be only dealing with 2 months, but we're dealing with a full 6 months. And we're talking about pretty much every pay-per-view since SummerSlam, which happened in July last year, through the end of the year. And so when you look at that, when you look at ratings, when you look at buy rates, when you look at the fan responses and those types of things, the second half of the year for WWE was monumental. And I think it was so good that, as we're seeing in these comments and the like, most people forgot what happened the first half of 2022 for the WWE. So yeah. And then, you know, the idea, someone said something about the maximum male models being the worst gimmick. I liked them, particularly when they started. When they started, there was something really fun to them, but there's so many comments. Let's see. Boza saying it's okay to have opinions. I agree with TK. It's just that sometimes Meltzer doesn't triple check his sources. He puts out the first thing somebody tells him. Look at Mercedes Moné or Monet, for example. To that end, and to TK's point, I think we always have to consider the source whenever we're dealing with any awards or anything else like that. If they are whomever you deem to be reputable, then you might put more stock in their opinion versus someone who just puts out a list or someone who you don't seem or deem to be credible. So I think there's that. And I think we can just kind of balance what we've seen in 2022 against what was said here. I think calling Corey Graves the worst announcer of the year, that's a little off. And I'd also say this, it doesn't seem as though the awards are balanced across the base, meaning
and it doesn't say in the article either how, if it was a voting or if it was like a group of people.
Well, it doesn't say who the voters were. But it does say that there was voting, but it doesn't say who they were. So we don't know if this was like their staff, like PWI had their staff all, submit things, or if there were viewers that actually.
It doesn't even say it on their website either. That's
right.
Well, okay.
Right. So yeah, yeah. Let's see. I heard Matt JD. I'm not sure that I have what it takes to be part of the maximum male model.
I mean, I kind of like that idea. I kind of like that idea, especially with the jacket. If Nikki co-signs on that idea, then I mean, it's
well. I mean, Nikki does have the final say on things like this. So
I'm just saying.
So and then other decisions, like I'm not sure we would all line ourselves up with Tony Khan being best booker and best promoter. I don't know. Especially when you look at all of 2022. You know, I don't know. But again, to TK's point, take it for what it's worth. If you agree with Dave Meltzer generally throughout the year, then some of these decisions don't, bother you one way or the other. And then there are a few of them that I'm kind of cool with, like Takeshita being most underrated. I could kind of rock with that. I do have one question though, which I'm not sure we'll get an answer to. And that is, was okay. So a lot of these awards went to people either in AEW, WWE, New Japan, or Stardom. And my question is, did we exclude intentionally Impact and the NWA? Because to me, if we're talking about a weekly television program, you know, you have to at least include what
Definitely
Impact's
Impact.
doing. And even if you were going to include the NWA in the conversation, you know, so that those are my questions, you know, like where is the representation for them? And again, that comes from whoever the staff is over at Wrestling Observer that was involved in this. So
Well, Nikki has an answer for you.
Gerard say eating down. Yeah. Now here's what's funny. As I'm reading this comment, I'm like, am I eating too much? But I don't think that's what she means in context. So yeah, I was like, does that mean that my
I
face
don't
is
know
fat?
if you've gotten this in a while. I know it's been a while.
I got the
I know it's been a minute.
Wow. Well, I'll take that one honestly because I didn't know.
That
So
honesty tears.
I listen. I'm being there. It is. So I messed up there. So I'm not as hurt by that womp. I wasn't trying to be funny. I was just trying to understand. But thank you very much, Nikki. It's with the kids. There we go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if that officially makes me old,
I think
or
so.
I don't know.
There's it just not even that's what it does.
Oh wow. Well, there it is. There it is.
But you're all like you all 10, so I'm just saying.
Listen, all 10s, that's a win. That's a win. So thank you.
Gosh.
Well,
keep on with the comments. I mean,
yes.
I don't think we're ever gonna get. Yeah, like I said, I just checked the website and the article that we sourced, and there's no, they don't say where they get these findings from. And that's okay. It makes the conversation, and so here we are.
And to TK's point, you know, I don't know that there has fully been a list from anybody or a set of awards from anybody that I've 100% agreed with. I mean, WWE not long ago put out like top 50 women's wrestlers of all time, and there were some names that were missing, a top 50 tag teams, and there were some folks that were misplaced. So I think we're going to find that in almost any list. Shoot, Billboard and Vibe just put out their top 50 hip hop acts of all time, and the top 50 rappers, and some names that were not in the top 10 have caused a lot of questions. So it's just one of those things, you know, but to TK's point, it keeps us talking. And so that's part of healthy discussion, and that's a good thing.
It is what it is. What do we have next?
All right. So perhaps, I want to be fair. Maybe what happened Wednesday night lends itself to why Tony Khan was named the best promoter of 2022. Tony Khan had promised us a big announcement for about a week. And in fact, on Wednesday on this show, we pontificated in terms of what this announcement could be. I thought it was going to be so big that it would actually start the show, but it did not. It came really towards the tail end of the show, and it was done backstage. Now, whenever backstage announcements happen, take them for what they're worth. So this particular one, Tony Khan stepped out of the way, enter Adam Cole, baby, and he brought us two pieces of news. Piece number one is that AEW will be presenting a new show called AEW All Access. It will be
which I think Ella was the one who guessed that one, right? Or it might have been someone in the chat.
Yeah, she mentioned that could be a possibility of a reality show. And I know we had covered several months ago that they were starting to film one, but we weren't sure what it was for. But now we know it is AEW All Access. It's an hour-long show. It will air after Dynamite. So in essence, wink, wink, we get 3 hours of AEW on a Wednesday night, not to be confused with 3 hours of a WWE on a Monday night. Anyway, AEW All Access is coming in March. And then the second piece of news that we got is that Adam Cole will be returning to the ring also in March after suffering a very bad concussion. So shout out to Adam Cole. We do know some of the names that will be involved in AEW All Access. It includes Adam Cole, Britt Baker, Sammy Guevara, Ty Conti, the Young Bucks, Saraya, Wardlow, and Eddie Kingston, along with Tony Khan. So this will be going on. From my understanding, they started these tapings somewhere in November at episodes
a while
of
ago.
yeah. So we'll be seeing probably the things that happen November, December, which means we'll probably be seeing, Saraya's entry into AEW, her being cleared by the doctors and whatever else may be coming. So this will be very, very interesting to see what happens. But yeah, that was the big announcement. AEW All Access, indeed. Ella was on that. And yeah, we'll start seeing that in the month of March. March, of course, starts next week. We don't know exactly which of these dates it'll start, but yeah,
take it with this time.
I know. It's quite scary.
Trust me, I'm on my game plan. Like y'all who believe in goal setting and writing stuff down, all this, like I'm hitting the goals.
Yes,
but it's just kind of like
it's just moving so fast.
It is moving. So
yeah.
Anywho, I wonder. It kind of gives me the feel of how the Kardashians, because I used to have to cover the Kardashians after show, and it gives me the feeling of how when something happened in Kardashians' real life, like remember when Kim got like robbed in Paris, then like 6 months later you're covering it on the reality show. It's just like
right.
So I'm hoping that part was annoying, because I feel like if you are watching the reality show, that most likely you are keeping up with the Kardashians in real life, because I don't see it any other way around. So it feels like if you're watching the AEW show, reality show, there's a high chance that you're watching the show. Although I can't remember who put it out. It might have been on Twitter with Total Divas. There are a lot of people who are watching Total Divas for the reality of it, and they had no idea what was going on in WWE. So maybe that's what AEW is hoping for. But I feel like they need to have a really good direction as far as their reality show and who they're targeting. So we'll see.
And I will say part of the challenge to that, and one of the major differences that happened between, say, a Total Divas and All Access is that oh boy,
JD. I'm sorry. This is
JD. Wow. Okay, I like read it and just like went, wow. The spirit of he lives on. He lives on, Kane. Gosh. Yes, wherever you are.
Yes, actually with Kane, I won't get into it, but definitely send some positive vibes his way. That's all I'll say.
For sure. For sure.
That's it.
Yeah. But to that end, the differences between those shows is Total Divas, number one, came on a completely different network at a time that was unrelated to the wrestling show. So that really went after not just the wrestling audience, but the audience that actually would watch E. And that audience was the same audience that would watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians and other reality shows. So what's interesting about this is they're going to be depending on the fallover from their own show. So they're basically saying, okay, we want you to stick around for a third hour, which I don't know then if they're looking for other fans to tune in at 10 p.m. Eastern on a Wednesday night who would have missed those first 2 hours. So I don't know. And if they're taping it all at the shows, which is different than taping it at their homes.
Yeah, which is, I'll need to see it just from a producer's perspective, which is kind of like, I've always wanted to see, and it might be, as boring as watching paint dry, because they might not show the real, but like the writer's room and what that looks like. I've always wanted to see that, like how they come up with different concepts. But as far as it, I don't know. I wouldn't want to see like, oh, I'm getting my hair done and, these kind of faux relationships happening behind, as they're filming the show. Like, I kind of want to see, like, I was a fan of Total Divas, and Total Divas, timing wise, I think I actually started watching Total Divas again before I actually got back into wrestling.
Wow.
Because if you guys know, and I'll just do a quick recap of just in case you don't know the whole story of how this all came to be. I had known Xavier Woods for years, met him in Toronto when I was working in Toronto. He was in LA filming something. We were friends the whole time. He's in LA filming something. He's like, yo, I'm in town, whatever. At that time, he was a TNA. Now he's with WWE. And I'm like, oh, bet, I'm going to support you. But I think before that even happened, I was watching Total Divas.
That's possible.
So when I watched, and I think that is what happened, because I remember seeing John Cena backstage. I remember seeing a lot of people backstage, but referencing them to how they correlated with Total Divas. So
Gotcha.
I don't know. I think you would want another audience, but again, I'm not going to hold judgment. Maybe they have, better producers than I think I am. So, we'll see what happens. And then if it's terrible or it's a bad concept, then I'll say something. We have out
Here's the other thought that I want to remind people of, just bringing us in context. For wrestling fans specifically, if we want to see an AEW backstage show and it started taping in November, we're probably going to lose interest, because all the real juicy stuff happened in September at that media scrum. So we would want to see what happened at the media scrum. What's the fallout from that? By the time we get to November, we're 2 months removed. And we're almost at the point, if my memory serves me correctly, we're getting ready for the return of the Elite at this point. So that might be the only mention we may get of what happened with CM Punk, or any alluding to that or not. But other than that, there hasn't been that much that I can think of off the top of my head in the last 6 months that has been so juicy in AEW behind the scenes that we're like, we want to find this out outside of the media scrum, because I really think they tried to clean up a lot of things once that media scrum happened and all of the fallout from it. So that's the other thing that will make this interesting, to see exactly what we're going to be seeing in this. And we'll find out, obviously, in March.
Yeah, I don't want it scripted. I hope it's not like cheesy scripted. I mean, all reality shows are kind of scripted, so I don't know. We'll find out. But we will see. But what will be a guarantee is that we will have an after show talking about it. So there it is. I'm sure. What do we have next?
Well, staying in the land of AEW, one of the big signings in AEW in 2022 was Jeff Hardy. And I know it feels like a whole nother lifetime ago since Jeff Hardy was in a pro wrestling ring in AEW, but it did happen. But that seemingly was cut short because of another DUI. So this case that involved him dates back to June of 2022. And that case has now officially closed. It closed yesterday. He submitted a written plea of basically no contest. And what's going to happen is his license, his driver's license, will be suspended for the next 10 years.
So
and he's definitely not driving to the next show. And he will get 38 days credit for time served in county jail as part of his sentence. So part of this plea that he made—
30 days from the 10 years that he can't drive?
Well, the 38 days credit is for time served in county jail. So I don't know that that's necessarily taking off time from his 10 years. But if you're taking a mere 38 days off of 10 years, that's a month. But in this—
wrestling by that time too? How old is he?
Well, that's the other question. I'm not really sure what this does for things with him in terms of wrestling. Now, here's where again, he really kind of faced some things. So here's the full thing of what he got. So here's what he faced. He pled not guilty, but he faced up to 5 years in prison for the main charge. Here's the full sentence. So the full sentence was 38 days in county jail, but they gave him 38 days credit for time served. So that pretty much nullifies his jail time. 2 years probation, a whopping $4,586 in fines and court fees. His license is suspended for 10 years. He has 2 years with an interlock device and a 90-day vehicle impoundment. He also has court-mandated DUI school or drug rehab program, and he has to do community service. Now, he was immediately suspended by AEW when all of this happened back in June, and he can only return to AEW upon successfully completing treatment and maintaining his sobriety. And he has not expressed any interest in returning to wrestling at this particular point, though that could change. So that's the deal with Jeff Hardy. The case is now closed, and that's what he's dealing with now.
Well, I mean, JD, I guess you just taking over Kane's spot today. That's for you.
Yes.
I mean, we can do a little bit, making it a little bit light, but at the end of the day, you know, this is not a new thing that he's experienced and that we've reported on. So it's something that he has to deal with, and hopefully he'll figure out what works for him so he's not self-destructing. He's only 45. And you know, it seems like he can still go and all the things. You know, I think AEW took kind of the WWE approach a la maybe 15 years ago, because I don't think WWE really, as long as you're not caught, and it's not in the media, then you know. So at the end of the day, we'll see what happens with that. It looks like we have a surprise.
I thought I heard something, and surprise.
And the thing too with surprise guests and these particular surprise guests, I didn't even let me now go and get another video.
We have multiple surprise guests. Oh, this is about to be fun.
Such things, but what? Hold on one second. Let me you know get my life together, because we don't normally have just guests just popping on, but these two guests are quite special. So we'll give them one of those. The salt shakers, and before they even say anything, let's give them one of these too, because let's just start it off, because we already know how this show will end when the salt shakers come into the room. So what it do?
Hello.
What's up?
Very blessed to be here. Thank you guys for bringing us on your show. I mean,
thank you so much for. I'm honored. I've never even been on the news.
I'm not. We're here. We can walk in anytime we want.
First and foremost, of course, honey, it is the Salt Shakers, your senior writer, Nikki Bougie, and of course, your editor-in-chief, Dreon Santana, the most and only dominating tag team here at Women's Wrestling Talk. We will be the first inducted into the WWT Hall of Fame in about 20 years. So I hope you're ready. But I am at work. I just wanted to pop in real quick.
All right. Oh. Remember the back end where I was saying Nikki and Santana in the chat, where it's like you guys come in a package deal, and
yes,
she's like, no, that's not the case, and here we go. Point proven.
Here we go.
Anywho, Santana does come bearing some news for us, because she is the editor-in-chief of Women's Wrestling Talk, so she has some late breaking news. So what's going on?
So as you know, I've been keeping up with all things 2K related to the game and everything like that, all news. But we know who our highest rating superstar is in the game, and it is Roman Reigns. You guys, Tribal Chief. He is the highest rated one. He's the number 99. That's the highest ever. As of right now, you know, anything is possible. Anything can change unless they drop Super Cena. Then we might be looking at 100, but Becky Lynch is our highest 96, the highest woman ever to be rated in any of the WWE games ever. So I think congratulations to them and everything like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot going on over in that neck of the woods, I would have to say, with the 2K reportings and stuff like that. From the ratings, there was a lot of controversy, of course, with Zelina Vega and her 74 that she's carrying around. A lot of people were not too happy about that. A lot of people weren't too happy about their ratings, I would have to say. But I mean, they're obviously going to be changed once you get the game anyway. But yeah, you know, it's a lot of questions about that, I would have to say. But
and
I guess
you know, Might as well just discuss the news that we do behind the scenes, just bring it to the forefront. So are we getting a Twitch stream live gameplay?
It's very
I
possible.
ain't doing it.
Oh, I'm a gamer, so it's very possible for that to happen. It's just me getting everything pretty much set up into my room for that to happen and be able to like you're able to see me and actually see the gameplay too, as well as like maybe having some other news and stuff like that. I know they did the entrances for some of the superstars and for women and men superstars. They've talked about all of the whole entire showcase is going to happen for John Cena. Since he is on the cover, and they've also released a track list. They've released some of the arenas that's going to be there, some of the titles. We do have some screenshots of some of the wrestlers, well, women wrestlers at that, who are on the roster. But we also do have a list on our website of those who are missing and have been removed from the game as of right now. I already know Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, Naomi, and like Mandy Rose. And right now, like the big three that people are talking about that have been removed from the game as of right now. They're not on the current entire roster list that is on WWEgames.com website. So, but I mean, listen, we got the community creations team over there who do a lot of the amazing models for the characters. One in particular, a lot of people are upset about is how Lita looks. Yeah, she looks awful. She looks terrible. And they constantly keep recycling her. The same thing they did with Trish. Trish face skin looks a lot better, but she's looking like, 2000 Trish Stratus. And that's not how she looks right now. So I don't know. Hopefully they need to do better with that, I will say.
All right. With that, a new little graphic. So all things.
I like
all things.
It's giving Microsoft 98.
I don't even know what to say.
I just pull stuff from where it is and it's on file, and it is what it is. I mean, we're not balling here, so we work with what we got. With that being said, let's get into good Lord, do I even have everything? Yes.
It's wrestling facts. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Why am I here?
Shout out to Cade. So we're going to go back to 1991. WCW had a pay-per-view called Wrestle War 91. It was in Phoenix, Arizona, ironically, where the last episode of Dynamite was. And so the main event here was a War Games match. So War Games is exciting, of course, but it was 1991. That was a murky time in WCW. We're getting out of the hot 80s. We're in that real murky time, really for all of wrestling, quite frankly. And so this War Games match had Sting, the Steiners, and Flying Brian Pillman as one team, which, again, 91 Flying Brian was not nearly as tough or as brutal as, say, the 96-97 version of him. And they fought Larry Zbyszko and the Four Horsemen. Well, really three of them, because it was Flair, Barry Windham, and Sid Vicious. Apparently, Zbyszko was not good enough to be a horseman. Anyway, Zbyszko and the Horsemen won this. Also on this show, which I thought was interesting, Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin, the fabulous Freebirds, would defeat a team called Doom. Remember them? Ron Simmons and Butch Reed? And they would become the WCW Tag Team Champions. That all happened on this day in 1991. This day in 1995, Dan Severn defeats Chris Candido to win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, which was fully separated from the WCW title. Dan Severn would hold that title for 4 years and even make an appearance in WWE a few times with the NWA World Championship. Speaking of the WWE, on this day in 1997, it was super interesting. So most people, when you start talking about the invasion, remember the 2001 version where WCW came in and then ECW and WCW joined forces. Well, this kind of happened much earlier than that. 1997, ECW, while actually in business, showed up at the Manhattan Center on this day in 1997. It was in addition to kind of promote two things. There was a whole war going on between ECW and Jerry Lawler, but then this was also to help lead to promote their first pay-per-view known as Barely Legal. They actually had ECW sanctioned matches on Monday Night Raw this night, which is kind of crazy. So Tommy Dreamer defeated Devon Dudley. Taz beat Mikey Whipwreck. Stevie Richards beat Little Guido. It was kind of a full ECW invasion that happened on this day in 1997. And then, if anybody cares, same day, Ken Shamrock made his first WWE appearance as an invited guest to Monday Night Raw. Then we moved to 2002. Of course, at this point, WCW is gone. ECW is gone. So there's a new organization that calls themselves World Wrestling All-Stars, and they had their first pay-per-view. It was called The Revolution, happened in Vegas. The main event saw Jeff Jarrett retain the WWA championship against Brian Christopher, who is the son of Jerry Lawler, right? We're following. And then I don't know if you knew this, but 2002, Eddie Guerrero was actually on this World Wrestling All-Stars show, and he beat Psychosis and Juventud Guerrera to win the WWA International Cruiserweight Championship. That happened then. This piece of news, and there are really three other pieces of news and we're done. 2003. On an episode of Monday Night Raw, Booker T wins a 20-man battle royal by eliminating The Rock. And by doing that, he wins the opportunity to become the number one contender to face Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 19. Now, there's a lot of controversy around this particular road to WrestleMania dealing with Booker T and Triple H, some of the things that were said in this, some of the ways it was presented, and even Triple H going over Booker T at WrestleMania 19 still leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And that road began on this day 20 years ago. Okay, yeah, that kind of made me feel some kind of way. Talking about decisions that don't age well. This day in 2011, WWE had a press release where they announced that, in their words, they've signed arguably the biggest non-American wrestling star in the world. Well, who would that be in 2011? I'm sure you're going through your mental Rolodex, all the great wrestlers in 2011, but I'm sure it didn't land on this one, Sin Cara. Yeah, Sin Cara. At that time, he was seemingly, arguably, one of the biggest non-American wrestling stars in the world. He had done a whole lot with AAA and all of those places. The problem was being in WWE didn't exactly work out well for him. Lots of injuries and the like. And yeah, that didn't last long as he would leave 3 years later. That is the original Sin Cara, because another version of Sin Cara would return. But this may be, in my opinion, the biggest piece of news in terms of wrestling facts, vintage wrestling facts, because this day in 2014, pro wrestling changed forever. And this is not hyperbole. When the WWE launched the WWE Network, this was a special time because when this was announced, you know, for people who don't remember, prior to 2014, WWE pay-per-views were $30, $40, $50 a pop every single month. So when they said you would pay $9.99 a month and be able to get every pay-per-view that WWE had, past and present, then you got, you know, the whole library of every WCW pay-per-view, every ECW pay-per-view, the archives of Raw and SmackDown, and we even got the archives of NXT. It was special, super special time. And really, the WWE Network did an awful lot until about 2 years ago, where it found its way onto Peacock with a big deal that WWE got $1 billion for 5 years. And that time frame will be coming up actually soon, fairly soon. But yeah, the WWE Network changed all of our lives. Without it, I don't think many other wrestling leagues would be doing streaming now at this particular point. So Vince McMahon, for all that we say about him, that was a revolutionary move. Happened on this day in 2014. And those are your vintage wrestling facts.
Vintage wrestling facts. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand, Santana. I could see, even when you're not on and you're in the comments, I could see you shaking your head. I mean, I don't understand, but I mean, it's old. I mean,
Y'all could have had me did that. It would have at least sound better, you know.
It's awful. It's so. I cannot wait to meet Kane so I can tell him how awful that video is. It's horrible.
Especially the LJ one. No offense to LJ, but that is the worst like introduction that anybody could ever make.
I mean, I
The
love
Ella
it.
video. Like, how do you think Ella feels? Like, I would be
feel embarrassed. Like she should feel real
That's
bad.
so
like
detrimental.
Correct. You know what? I mean, I don't normally.
I mean, what a salt shakers for a reason.
Hello, we throw salt. We ain't salty.
That Ella
take it
J
too,
track,
just a little
though. I'm just saying. And you know, if you don't like it, then drop something. Drop something for us. And
No, we don't listen. We don't come over here. We just do run-ins. We don't produce. We don't host over here. We just come and chill. Okay, we let y'all
chill.
Listen,
You just
shout out. Shout out
created
to Ella and Gerard, who hold it down. They hold it down. Ella and Gerard, they hold it down. Okay,
I just be
When they
watching.
get together, magic, nothing but magic, and I
I
love
just
it.
be watching, you know,
Yeah.
from my desk. I be trying to see what y'all got going on over here.
You know, we watch every show. We pull up everywhere.
See, I need to pull up, you know, but I don't want to. I don't want to bombard nobody.
Mr. Professor and everybody who is in the comments. Now you see what goes behind the scenes, all the chats in the WhatsApps. But going back to the WWE network, this kind of brings a segment that we haven't done in a long time.
Yeah.
Lose or draw.
So there's a couple things playing. A couple months ago, there was talks, and I'm sure there still are talks, but you know, wrestling is ever evolving every day as far as it being sold, WWE being sold to another network, etc. Do you think, and the funny thing too is in Europe, the WWE network is still there because Peacock's not there, all that stuff. But do you think the move that WWE did as far as no longer doing the network and moving to partnership with Peacock was a win, lose, or draw for one? So there's a couple tiers for them as far as financially. And was it a win, lose, or draw for us as far as fans? So what do you guys think?
Santana, Nikki?
I feel like for us as fans with the WWE network, there were a lot of things on there that you can actually go back and like really, really watch. I know like with Peacock, they kind of have cut some things and have edited a lot of things out because of the platform that they're on now. And there was a lot of things from the WWE network that we have lost is not on Peacock. And like at all whatsoever. There's a lot of things. So I'm like, they Jerry Springer's too hot for TV. They don't have that on Peacock for me, and that was the show that I will always watch. WWE was the WWE Camp thing that they had that they had on there with all the all the profanity and all that. They don't have it on the.
Oh really? I didn't realize that. That was a good show.
And I went back and watched that show, and I absolutely love it. So there's a lot of things that they don't have on Peacock that they did have on the WWE network. So I feel like it's a loss for us in America wise, because those overseas and other places, they still have access to WWE network while we have to get Peacock, you know?
Yeah, I agree too, because like if you were like me, NXT was not on USA Network. We were literally fed NXT. The greatest days of NXT live on the network. When we got the network, it's like NXT felt something. It feels like how to me Impact feels now. There's something about NXT, the new talent. I mean, having people like Adam Cole, Kevin Owens. I mean, even with the women, Shayna and Rhea were just absolutely killing it. Charlotte and Sasha. I mean, it was just crazy. For me, I do think it's a loss because not only did we lose shows, the algorithm and the categories and the way that it, like, the conception of that network was absolutely brilliant. Like the way that they took the time to make sure that all the content was given, but also in an orderly fashion. You could literally type one superstar and watch everything. And I know Peacock has this thing where it's like a catalog, but it sucks. I think for WWE fans.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't me.
Cut
I
out.
Cut out.
Yeah, there you go. You're back.
Okay, you're back now.
Okay, how personal the network was to fans.
Mr. Professor?
Yeah, you know what? I'm really torn. Certainly from the WWE perspective, I think it was a win. It was a win, because it was taking years for them to actually make money from the network. Because just think about it, from the financial side, if we're paying $50 a month and that now goes to $10 a month, you basically need 5 times the people who were watching your pay-per-view to sign up for the network and stay with the network. That's and that is to break even. That's not to make money. So it's safe to say that they really were not making money from the WWE network. And so it's a win for them because now they don't have to manage the infrastructure. Peacock can do that. It's a win for them that because by being on Peacock, they absolutely have more viewers than they did from being a standalone situation. So it's a win for them. For us, I have to agree in terms of user ability and experience, it feels like a loss because, the WWE network, the way it was set up, for instance, when a pay-per-view premium live event, which we had to change the name when we went to Peacock, but when a pay-per-view went off, it would then automatically go to another program. I could literally fall asleep with the WWE network on, and there'd constantly be great programming. With Peacock now, you get you get a show, it's that show, that's it. Like, to me, one of the worst feelings in the world is when you get that that note that says, "All right, the show's over. Thanks for coming." It's like, well, what are we supposed to do now?
Right.
The whole idea.
My Peacock usually goes to
if you have like an auto, like I guess like auto, like to continue playing, that it'll go on to the next episode like that. So it does have that ability. At first, in the beginning, it did not. You had to manually click to the next thing.
So for me, like if I'm watching a show that's not live, it'll do that. But for live shows, it still, just does that whole thing. So that's wild. I will also agree that the way things are categorized are just different. So it's harder to find. I was certainly used to being able to go, okay, I can find WCW, go find the pay-per-view or the episode I want to watch and be good. Much harder to do. And this is the other problem with them being on a much larger platform. The WWE network was solely dedicated to all things WWE. So they had the bandwidth and space. Now, basically, they're sharing that with all other NBC Universal items that are on there. So that means that there's some stuff that's living on there that I guess in the NBC world has greater precedence than WWE. So WWE has a limited amount that they can use, which is why things get funneled in and out to be able to maintain that. So as a wrestling fan, I preferred the WWE network as a standalone, but from a business perspective, it makes all the sense in the world for WWE's win.
Yeah, but no, there's no but. With Peacock, it just feels like you have something like a Disney, right? Where Disney's connected to, I think it's just connected to Hulu, right? You can get Disney on Hulu.
Yeah.
But you buy it through Hulu, but Disney's just encapsulated with Disney stuff. Like, I don't understand why Peacock can't do something like that, where it's just like, and also, and Lord knows I don't want to pay any more money, but, and also I don't want, like, if Peacock were to do, like, okay, you pay $4.99 or however it is for Peacock, and then you pay an extra $2.99 for WWE, but you get that it's just WWE by itself. I'd actually pay the extra $3, $4, $5. That's so I can just see that, because when you go on Peacock, it's just kind of like it's not the same. So
the reason why it's not like that is because NBC Universal is under a different umbrella. So Disney kind of can do their own thing with their media, but with NBC Universal, they don't want to do that. And the reasoning has a lot to do with like behind the scenes and what they're doing for the network. and NBC kind of went through this thing where they're wanting to stand out because they've produced so many different comedic shows, 30 Rock, and now they own The Office. And that has been a weird deal too, because now a lot of there's some conceptions of The Office that they're saying that, oh, you might actually get it back on Netflix because of the deal that's going on with Peacock. I think NBC Universal is just greedy and they want to keep everything. That's why they took on WWE, honestly. And that's probably why Disney, rumored, allegedly, is trying to place their bid, So I think it's all NBC Universal, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with it being that, but if you're still on the Peacock network and you're paying an extra $5 or $6 and you still can access WWE, you're actually making more money. Because how many people, as far as wrestling fans, like I would pay for that, I'll write it off, but I'll pay for that to just see that. Like it's very jarring to go on.
Peacock is free. Like Peacock is free with ads. I don't know if people know that, but like I've never paid for Peacock ever.
Oh yeah, no, I don't do that.
Do you have Xfinity?
I used to.
That's why you didn't have to pay.
Oh,
because what happened was with Xfinity, you get Peacock for free. That $4.99 a month is absorbed in the Xfinity.
Yep. Now I gotta check because we just switched to DirecTV.
Yeah, so you should check that. You should check that.
No.
Check that.
Well, just write that off on the taxes. If you want the write-off game, hit me up. Just DM me because look,
there it is.
Everything. I'll show you how to do it. Anywho, with that being said, I think we've reached our time. I know Mr. Professor has a child to go to.
I'm all right.
Oh, okay. You want to talk some more? What else you got? What else you got, Mr. Professor?
Well, I'll end with this, which we have to pull out of the box. But while we've stopped talking about whether or not The Rock will show up for WrestleMania, apparently everybody in his family, according to this report, wants The Rock back in WWE.
I gotta.
So Tamina did an interview recently, and in this interview that she did with ET Insider, this interview, she says that basically everybody, including his mom, wants The Rock to come back to WWE. Now, the reason why I laugh about that is because that's kind of pulling the ultimate card to say, well, look, even your mama wants you back. Like, listen, when you pull out the mama, that's like, okay, that's the trump card. So, yeah, they all want The Rock to come back. Obviously, it's up to The Rock. He says he's not necessarily in ring shape, but the whole family, I wonder if the whole family includes the tribal chief. I don't know. When you say the whole family, that's a whole lot of people. So, yeah, they want The Rock back. Meanwhile, speaking of The Rock, I believe tonight is the season finale of Young Rock on NBC. So, yeah, I think that's what Rock is up to, along with his other 5 million businesses.
What you got to say before we put this all in the box, Salt Shakers?
Girl, them feet.
Their pictures need to be go in the box because
that is disgusting.
There are so many photos that The Rock has, and this is what you come up with.
That's what you picked.
This is disgusting.
See, there's a thing called, it's like we were discussing today with the whole the list and stuff like that. At the end of the day, if I put out a random picture of The Rock as The Rock does, then you guys would be like, what? But now the reactions that I got from both of you, I mean, Mr. Professor's used to my shenanigans, but I mean, I saw all the pictures and I'm like, that's the one.
That's the one.
Good PR. Good PR. I get it. But disgusting.
Bad
it's not. He allowed it. It's for GQ. Like, look,
this ain't no GQ. No, they should have been fired. Whoever put the creative director on that, they should have been fired immediately.
That's funny.
Effective.
No, maybe it's a European take. What do you guys? Because I have talked blue in the face about this, Rock WrestleMania thing, and so we'll quickly put it in the box. But what do you guys think?
I don't care. I don't think they need him this year. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things happening around that he's not really needed. Like, where is he going to fall into? You know what I'm saying? Save save him for WrestleMania 40 if you want to do it that way. But who knows if Roman's gonna even be champion by then.
And I will say, Gerard made a good point a couple weeks ago about how like ring ready and like athletic ready are totally different. And I do believe that he's not ring ready. Not to throw shade, but Tamina recently just had a match, and a lot of people were saying that, you know, it might be harder to keep up with some of the new talent. I mean, you're coming from the factory, you're coming from places who are really embedded in their training, whereas you were in the WWE and there wasn't even a performance center that was solidified. So being ring ready and being ready, you know, athletically, I agree with Gerard 100%. I personally don't ever need to see The Rock in the ring again. That's just me. I've always felt like The Rock, when it comes to professional wrestling, is a facade. He's more of a name than actually the talent and the actual ring ability. Great talker, but I can't sit here and be like, oh my God, I can't wait to see a Rock match, because it's not given what they said that it was given. So, personally, I don't need to see him no more. He can pop up at, you know, The Rock, what he be doing? The Rock has come back. All that mess. He can do that at Hollywood. I'll be fine with it. But personally, I do not want to see The Rock versus Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns is in his prime. Like, that's just, y'all, it's no.
But I think they only try to do that just to continue on with this whole bloodline story. Because honestly, if they're looking at Roman as being the quote unquote tribal chief, when actuality is kind of like The Rock is the bigger guy, to be honest, in the family at that. But he's not sitting at this table. And
TK, you ain't tired yet.
Like, what? You need to remove Sammy because he got ejected. You know,
this is a quarterly thing. Don't worry about it.
Right. You gotta eject that man tremendously. So you gonna keep the white man in there.
Oh wow!
I mean, he's Canadian.
After he didn't got ejected. You know what happened? This is exactly why the bloodline's all messed up now, because you're letting outsiders come in and mess up your fun sweat.
All right. Well, I do have to say, do you have anything to say, Mr. Professor, before we wrap it up?
No, I'll just say that I do agree with that one point that Nikki made, that, you know, the pace has changed. And you know, even it's funny, Roman's matches, he's very strategic. He can turn it on when he wants, or he can be intentionally deliberate. But yeah, the paces have definitely changed, and so The Rock would have to be prepared for that. I don't think he has to be back. So I'm interested in figuring out who in the family wants him back and why.
Well, I think with that being said, it's a topic of conversation. So I think it was just said because that's happening. At one point, there was a Rock story almost every day in different capacities. So there's that. I also think that it would have been great to have him, but in a storyline, because there is going to come a time where, like, I mean, how much longer can Roman Reigns go? As far as not necessarily go in the ring, but as far as this storyline, there's only so long we can do this storyline. You know, we don't know another person who's in the box. Trinity, like, she's kind of officially out. That would have been a great, I've been talking about that for years. I think she would have been a great addition to the storyline. So I think there's missed opportunities. Like, there was a missed opportunity with WWE missing the four horsewomen as far as UFC going against wrestling. That would have been a great storyline. The storyline with Trinity and Bianca Belair. Like, there's so many things that they missed that I feel like it was just there. It was just there for their taking, and they decided not to take it. So I feel like if he doesn't, and I agree with you, Santana, and I think we've all said this now, based off of everything that's happened in the pay-per-views thus far, we don't need him. So if he doesn't, then that's fine. However, I feel like there's a missed opportunity because, one, he's 50. And even though he might not be in ring shape, I remember X-Pac always talked about, as you get to be kind of a legend in wrestling, you just pull out your greatest hits. If you watch the older wrestlers who have been in the game for a long period of time, they not going like they were when they were 21. They ain't doing the crazy stuff. They pull out their greatest hits, the stuff that they're known for. You're good to go. And as you know, the wrestler that they're going against knows the deal and makes them look good.
Everybody can't be Stone Cold Steve Austin now. That I will say, because Stone Cold and Kevin had a really nice match at WrestleMania. They really did. So I don't know. Rock figured out, you know, even if you don't get in the ring, you just show up and you know, do your stuff. You know, be the entertainer that you always been.
Yeah, but if he shows up and does some random video, I don't want to see it. Like, don't. I
mean, you're gonna get somebody to rock bottom or something, you know.
Well,
I'll take a few moves, but if you're not going to go in the ring, you're not going to do something reminiscent to The Rock as a wrestler, then like I don't want to see it. I don't want to see you on your camera phone in some island filming a movie coming from WrestleMania. It's like, you guys are welcome. I don't want to see that. If you're going to do that, if you're going to phone it in, then just, you know, stay on your island, make your movie, make your money. Clearly the money that WWE has is not like, you're making way more than that. So if it's like a money game and you have the XFL and you busy, then don't phone it in. But again, Rock at 60, if you're not ring ready now, like there's not going to be another opportunity like, you know, 10 years from now or 5 years from now. So I think we can all retire this. Is anybody else have anything else to say?
Just throw it in that little video box that you got, TK.
Oh my God, Santana's face is just let me just laugh.
Well, you guys, thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. This has been fun. Santana has taken over WWT Live. It's been an honor and a privilege to being here. I got me a new mic, so we're gonna be doing a lot of AMSAR over here and stuff. So we appreciate it. Thank you to the resident holistic one here.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I don't know if you guys close in it together in a package with the Soul Changers. You want to close it out?
Yeah, of course. You guys, we're 18 minutes away from No Surrender Impact Wrestling. Please do not miss this post show. Giselle Shaw versus Deonna Purrazzo, in my opinion, is going to be the greatest match ever for me. I don't care. We also have Mickie James on that card defending her Impact Knockouts World Championship against Masha Slamovich. We've interviewed them, so make sure you check that out. And we also, in a surprise turn, we have a tag team match for the Knockouts World Tag Team Championships. Death Dolls. We don't know which one's going to step into the ring. We never know. And Hex. I think this is about to change the game. Of course, we got SmackDown 2 tonight. We also have AEW Rampage. And surprise, surprise, the Salt Shakers will actually be here tonight for SmackDown and AEW Rampage post-show. And then we'll have a No Surrender post-show, well, recap show, as I like to call it, on Sunday as well. So, and of course, I already know Santana's going to tell y'all to Google her. So, I don't even have to.
Well,
I was going to say that, but I was also going to drop my Twitch in here too. So y'all can go over there and have some fun too.
But yeah, we're live tweeting on the page, Women's Wrestling Talk POD. So come and join us. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a great time. I'll be over there for Impact. And Rhea and Charlotte, I don't know if y'all have any expectations for this tonight. This is their first face-off since Rhea picked Charlotte. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll be tuned into that as well. So
this is very true.
Do you have anything to say, Santana? Are you good?
Oh, I just dropped my Twitch in the chat and everything because there will be some 2K-ish stuff going on Women's Red Talk. Actually, when Women's Red Talk is not live, like if I'm live on my Twitch, it'll pop up on here. Boom.
There it is. Mr. Professor, where can everybody find you?
You can find me at Bonnerfied on all of the platforms. Of course, all things Southern Honor, you can find on IWTV. Battle Slam, you can find on Fight TV. And then Nightmare Factory and Championship District Wrestling, you can find on YouTube. And then all of the merch is at ProWrestlingTees.com/Bonnerfied.
There it is. Make sure you check us out on all social media platforms at WW Talk Pod. Check out our website, www.talkpod.com. You can follow me at everything at TK Trinidad. WWT Live is Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 3 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Woo. Other than that, thank you for watching Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet. Ciao, y'all.
Women's Wrestling Talk, the #1 women's wrestling show on the planet.